I'm going to be talking about personal branding from a Christian perspective and how to fulfill your mission. Who am I? My name is Ubonga Basinyang. I have about 25 years experience, none of which are on C-level consulting, and I have delighted clients in over 4 continents. Like Brother Sal was talking, I just said it makes life easy for me. If you need more information about me, you can visit my website or you follow me on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. I post information out there. What am I going to talk about today? The key thing is, like I said, I'm going to just bless through a lot of things. I'll highlight what personal branding is all about. So I'll give you a general understanding of what personal branding is, how it enables you to fulfill your mandate, get you some understanding on the basic infrastructures of building your personal brand. This seminar is not about social media, and it's not about self-promotion. So why bother about personal branding? I like to quote a speaker now. He said, some people live decades and never really achieve a lasting impact on the people around them. Some leave a lasting legacy based on a few short years. The latter group has brands that stand the test of time, even though time itself is denied to them in any great amount. Jesus is not lived for too long, but his impact is why we're here today. So it's not about how long. It's about how far your impact is. That guy is called Joshua Bell. Does anybody know about him? Okay, if you know about him. Now, in 2007, there was an experiment conducted by Washington Post. They had Joshua Bell go to the Elephant DC Metro to go and play. He played for 43 minutes, performed 6 classical pieces. About 1,097 people passed through that place that morning. Only about 27 gave him money, and he was able to generate just $32.17. I ask why. Now, if I tell you about Joshua Bell, he's one of the world-renowned violinists. To start with, that instrument he's holding is worth $3.5 million. This is a man that commands about $1,000 per minute. 3 days before this experiment, he performed at the Symphony Hall with over 2,600 seats, and the average was about $100. So, nothing changed about what he knows or what he's capable about. But his brand image in this metro and what happened in the Symphony Hall is different. It's about the feasibility, it's about the platform where you can make an impact. So, whatever you know, whatever you think you know, if you cannot create that perception in people's mind that can help you to advance your cause, to advance the gospel, then you don't have a good brand. It adds profit value to you. This is interesting that happened to me. I had a dry cup, I went into the pharmacy, and I saw Buttercup and Covinia. They were on, discount, so they were £5 each. I've used both of them in the past, and I just said, which do I choose? So I walked up to the pharmacy and said, what's the difference between the two? And she said, you have dry cough. Both of them would do it, but actually, I will recommend this. This is £5. This is £1.50. So I asked her why. She said, because of the name. So what does your name stand for? When your name is mentioned, what perception comes into people's mind? Having a personal brand is a leadership requirement. It enables you to be a better leader, a more authentic leader that can create greater overall impact. If you don't brand yourself, others are branding you. So know that very well. Whether you seek to achieve career goals, financial goals, family goals, altruistic goals, or any combination thereof, a strong personal brand will succeed for you only to the extent that you are actively and purposely put it to work in the world around you. That 3 things I'd like to pick up there. Actively, purposely, and around you. So it's not a wobbling thing. You've got to decide, and you're going to work towards it. What is branding? This is my definition. Branding is a collection of perception in the minds that triggers an emotional response to the image or name of a company, product, or person, which is intended to identify and differentiate them from competition. And what is personal branding? Personal branding is a leadership requirement that unearths your uniqueness. It governs and represents the value you are able to consistently deliver to those whom you are serving. It is a total relationship experience mindset for delivering a standard of expectation that you have set out for those that interact with you. It's about the experience of people that interact with you. So the question you ask yourself is, when people interact with me, what experience do they live with? Positive or negative? A strong brand does not result from false image, coloring, clothing, snappy slogan, or some decorative display to disguise your true nature. Now, personal brands are not good or bad. They are strong or weak. A strong personal brand describes a person who chooses to make a meaningful difference in the lives of others and who builds trusting and valued relationships. Whereas a weak brand describes a person whose attribute and perceived qualities lack clarity, and more importantly, someone who is not perceived to extend his or herself to make a difference to other people. So let's talk about the infrastructures, because this is very key if you're going to build your personal brand. I call this personal branding ecosystem. We don't live in isolation. Personal branding is complex. Business branding is simple. Why? Because we have different brands to different audience. For example, I'm a business executive. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a girl buddy. I'm a friend. Those are the different people I interact with in my ecosystems. So how do I transfer my brand, image, and promise to all those people? You can be all things to all people. Let's get that right. If you don't get anything, get this one right. You can be all things to all people. And neither should you try. What drives your brands, which I'll mention, are your values. If they don't align to your values, that means that relationship cannot work. Like Brother Paul has been talking on Sister Kate. So the key determination of your ecosystem is what? What are those relevant specifics of those people and what they can be to you? Brand roles. Know your role. You operate at different roles. Like I mentioned previously, I have different roles in my ecosystem. The role of a father is different from the role of a husband. So you need to identify what role are you playing in that relationship. And then there's an expectation in that relationship that the other person is looking up to you to meet a particular commitment. And you must have the competency to do that. If you don't have competency, you cannot function in any relationship. You cannot function in any role. You see, it does not matter the type or make of a car. The thing is, like we all came in here, your car must start. It must stop. It must protect you from the environment. It must take you from one place to the other. And comfort. Well, comfort is relative. But those are some basic things. So to engage into a relationship, do you have the competency? How do you determine your brand roles? The question is, what will you do in that role? What do you need to do well in that role? How will you demonstrate your competency? So when you're looking at that, you need to be able to answer those questions. The next thing is a brand audit. You need to audit yourself. I like maths. You, today, is a function of your yesterday plus a constant. So your experience, your education, and everything are the yesterdays that makes up the function that derives of who you are today. So to be able to move forward, you need to be able to audit yourself and look at where have I come from, what have I done, and how have I been here. You do yourself awareness, who am I? How did I get here? So the key thing is, I'm going to bless through here is, what's your purpose? What is my life all about? If you don't live a life with purpose, then you're just drifting, like a rudderless ship. So what is the purpose of your life? Purpose is what gives meaning to you. Vision. What do you believe in? What do you want to contribute? What do I want to create for my life and the life of others? Remember when I talk about branding, it's what are you doing with those people that interact with you? What is important to you? Your values. We are all Christians, so we have some basic values we need to adhere to. So what do you hold true to yourself? These days of alternative facts and truth, we need to be very conscious of what our value system is. Because all strong brands are based on belief systems. So if you don't have a good belief system, just continue drifting. You need to get feedback from friends and families because they are your true image. I'll just tell you how you do that. Simple. Take a paper, sit down, think about What comments have people make about you in the past? Your friends, your family. Those are some of the things you'll be able to pass across to them. The image, the perception you build in their mind based on your daily interactions as you build your brand equity with them. Do they come to you and live happy, or do they come to you and live sad? There's no need saying, oh, I'm a run-to person where you are not accessible. So these are the people that will tell you exactly what it is. You could call them directly and ask them, or you could use some other tool that the Myers-Briggs, which will give you the various 16 personality profiles, and then you'll be able to see who you are, from an introvert to an extrovert, and the things that matters to you. It helps you form who you are. The brand standards, this is the level of performance you're delivering to people that interact with you. And it has to be consistent. It has to be objective. It can be measured. Different strokes for different folks. What you deliver to your son will be different from what you deliver to your daughter and to your wife. But the thing is, I'll mention here, your brand promise must be the same across board. It's just the applicability at the different roles and ecosystem in which you interact with them. So, if you want to be valued as a strong personal brand at home, the question I ask is, what is your level of investment in your relationship with your wife and children? How much of your time, talent, and attention do you give to them? To your friends, you want to be counted upon? What evidence do they have upon which they can base their judgment? How do they define you being there for them? Is it on your perspective or their perspective? Brand standards is based on your values. So when you're trying to draw your brand standard, look at your value system. That's what should originate your brand standards. Your brand style is your personality, how you deliver it. Oh, she's loving. Oh, he's a very nice person. Oh, he's very accommodating. He's very humble. Those are your brand styles. There are ways you can tell someone, go and jump into that stream, and the person will happily go. Understand the way you tell the person, and the impression is very bad. Your personal brand drivers, you need your brand ethos, which is your driving force that empowers you in everything that you do. It's your dominant value. It permeates everything that you do. That is what distincts you from every other person. Then you need to have a brand statement. And that's where your brand promise is derived from. So quickly, how do you apply it? As a husband, you need to look at yourself. What attracted me to this person? What are the affinities between us? Do they spring from similar ideas, purpose, vision, and values? I said, hopefully they do. Because if they don't, something we discussed earlier on will happen. What does this person expect of me? What attitudes and behavior do they want from me? How am I relevant to this person? How can I deliver my brand promise to them? The same thing to your work colleague. You have to go through the various relationships and find how relevant you are to them. Your role as a father. Where in the childhood stage of my children are they now? And what stage are they moving into? What in particular do they expect from me? How can I remain both distinctive and relevant in this relationship? As committed parents, we need to be able to adjust our responses. Because as the stages of our children changes, we need to respond to them. Like Brother Paul said, the son said, we are both what? You are my dad and what? A brother in Christ. Those are changes in the role, and you need to be able to do what? Acknowledge those things. Role of a friend, I'll skip through that. So, in managing your brand, once you establish those brand promises, you need to build brand equity. That is the impression you leave. Each interaction you have with that person. That's what builds your brand equity. Either it increases or decreases. Authenticity is very key in brand image. It's not about false pretense. You need to be visible, and you need to measure your success. There are various biblical examples. Jesus, David, John the Baptist, Paul, name them. I can't talk much about them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My question is to Brother Otom Babasi. Do you have any tools? Because I know you skipped through that. That's a subject that is very pertinent on my heart right now. Do you have any tools that can help in identifying and building your personal brand?
My advice, or what I do in my consulting, is the key thing that is your brand infrastructures. And that's why I was trying to skip through some of those things. If you've got your brand infrastructures in place, it is an evolutionary process. You build it over time. It's not a one-time thing. You build it because once you have that in place, that guides you, even in your decision making, in your relationships. You'll be able to say, okay, for example, in this conference, people will interact with me. What are they living with? In my home. So it sort of provides you with that decision-making guidelines in what you're doing. And that's why from time to time, you need to go back and review what you have done. You need to be able to look at what brand equity have you created. Because, you see, people cannot see your intentions. What they see is your actions. And that's what they build their perception on. So if you have a different intentions and you're giving a different message, for example, if you feel that, look, you are a problem solver, an innovator, and then you're in the office, you're not providing, you have a meeting and you're keeping quiet, you're giving a different message. So the core thing I always advise is, you look at those brand structures. What is your ecosystem? Where those relationships are? What roles are you performing? Do you have the competency, or do you need to build the competency in those relationships? What are your standards? I can talk to you later.